The emergency klaxons blared through the Jupiter facility as Admiral Chen sprinted down the corridor, environmental alarms flashing red. The explosion in Section 7 had ruptured the station's outer hull, venting atmosphere and taking 12 of her best engineers with it. Damage containment at 87%, the station air reported. Emergency bulkheads holding. Chen reached the auxiliary control room where Dr. Quaim and Commander Wade were already reviewing security footage. The physicist's normally composed features were tight with anger. "This was no accident," Quaim said, freezing a frame that showed a shadow moving near the power conduits moments before the explosion. "The detonation pattern suggests a molecular destabilizer. Only the Zeth use that technology. They've been watching us more closely than we thought," Wade growled, his scarred face illuminated by the emergency lighting. The containment breach destroyed 3 months of work on the shield modulation system. Chen studied the footage, her expression hardening, and claimed 12 lives. People with families. Names I'll need to memorize for the letters I'm about to write. Her comm unit chimed. "Admiral, the Atleri ambassador is requesting an immediate conference." "How convenient," Wade muttered. "Put him through to my private channel," Chen ordered, stepping away from the others. The holographic image of Ambassador Trelvox materialized, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. A gesture Chen had learned indicated artificial concern among the Atleri. "Admiral Chen, disturbing news reaches us of an accident at your research facility. The Confederation extends its deepest regrets for your losses." "Thank you, Ambassador," Chen replied evenly, giving nothing away. Though I'm curious how news of an incident that occurred 30 minutes ago has already reached the Confederation Council on Alpha Centauri. The ambassador's secondary eyes narrowed briefly. "News travels quickly through the void. I am authorized to offer technical assistance to prevent future incidents. Additionally, the Council strongly recommends reconsidering your position on the Epsilon Eridani system. For safety reasons, you understand." "I appreciate the Confederation's concern," Chen said. "I'll relay your message to Earth's Central Command." Chen out. She cut the transmission and rejoined the others, her decision made. They're working together. Zeth did the dirty work, and now the Atleri offer the carrot. "They think they set us back." "They have," Sato said, entering the room with a data pad showing cascading failures across the project timeline. "The shield modifications were crucial to our design philosophy." Chen looked at the 3 of them, brilliant minds representing humanity's best hope. "Then we pivot. If they know what we were building, we build something they won't expect." Quang's eyes widened with sudden understanding. "You want to completely redesign the Prometheus?" "Not completely," Chen replied. "We maintain the shell, but what goes inside changes. Dr. Quain, I want you to revisit historical Earth combat doctrines, everything from ancient naval warfare to guerrilla tactics. Commander Wade, pull the service records of officers with backgrounds in unconventional warfare." "And me?" Sato asked. "You and I are going to break some laws of physics," Chen said grimly. "If we can't max our technology, we'll make ours behave in ways their sensors can't predict." Later that night, Chen found Quaim in the data archives, surrounded by holographic images of ancient Earth battles, Spanish galleons, Vietnam jungles, urban warfare scenarios from the resource wars. "Found something?" Chen asked. Quaim nodded, her eyes bright with excitement. "The elder species have been spacefaring for so long they developed rigid doctrines about what works. But look at this." She gestured to a simulation of the Battle of Trafalgar. Nelson broke the conventional line formation, accepting extreme vulnerability to gain tactical advantage. She swayed to another image, guerrilla fighters using improvised explosive devices against armored vehicles, and here using an enemy's technological superiority against them by exploiting physical principles they take for granted. Chen watched the simulations play out, seeing the patterns emerge. "They'll expect us to build a poor copy of their designs. But instead, we build something fundamentally different," Quain finished. "Not a warship by their definition, a warfighter that embodies humanity's approach to conflict." Chen nodded slowly, the pieces falling into place. "Begin the redesign immediately. And Quaim," she added, "we keep this absolutely compartmentalized. Our greatest advantage now is that they think they know what we're building." As Chen left the archives, she received word that 6 more engineering teams had volunteered for the project despite the obvious dangers. The Zeph and Atleri had made a critical error in their calculations. They had assumed humans would retreat when faced with death. They didn't understand that for humans, the deaths of colleagues didn't inspire fear. They inspired resolve. Captain Maya Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the HMS Prometheus, watching the stars streak by through the main viewport. Officially, the vessel was classified as Explorer class with defensive capabilities, a designation that had made the Confederation approval process relatively smooth. The ship's true nature remained known only to its crew and a handful of Earth officials. Approaching Station Nexus, Captain Lieutenant Park announced from the helm. We'll drop out of FTL in 3 minutes. Rodriguez nodded, feeling the weight of command. At 42, she was relatively young for such a posting, but her experience in Earth's final World War had given her insights into combat that few others possessed. Admiral Chen had personally selected her for that reason. All hands to arrival stations, she ordered. Ensign Diaz, hail the station and request standard docking clearance. Captain. As the crew prepared for arrival, Rodriguez studied the tactical display. Station Nexus was a massive trading hub, neutral territory where species from across the Confederation conducted business under the protection of diplomatic conventions. It was the perfect place for the Prometheus's first real public appearance. Captain, Communications Officer Lee's voice was tight with concern. We're picking up distress signals from merchant vessels near the station. A Zeph battlecruiser is conducting inspections of ships in the commercial lanes. Rodriguez's eyes narrowed. On screen, the main display shifted to show a sleek predatory vessel with the distinctive purple-black hull of the Zeph Dominion. It dwarfed the civilian ships it was harassing, its weapon ports glowing with barely contained energy. Analysis, Rodriguez ordered. Tactical Officer Raman responded immediately. Acolyte-class battlecruiser. Approximately 3 times our mass, shield capacity estimated at twice our rated maximum. They're demanding cargo manifests from all ships and seizing anything they deem strategic materials, which violates at least 6 Confederation transit agreements, Commander Garcia, the XO, added. Rodriguez tapped her fingers on the arm of her command chair, weighing options. This wasn't part of the mission plan, but it presented an opportunity they hadn't anticipated. Open a channel to the Zeph vessel, she ordered. Standard Confederation protocols. Moments later, a Zeph commander appeared on screen, his chitinous faceplates shifting in what Rodriguez recognized as amusement. This is Captain Meyer Rodriguez of the Earth vessel Prometheus. Your inspections violate Confederation commerce regulations. We request you cease immediately and allow these vessels to proceed. The Zeph commander's translator converted his clicking language to standard galactic. The primitive speaks to us of regulations. Return to your homeworld, little mammal. These matters are beyond your understanding. Rodriguez maintained perfect composure. I am obligated to inform you that interference with lawful commerce carries severe penalties under. Enough. The Zeph commander cut her off. Perhaps a demonstration will educate you. Without warning, a pulse of energy lands from the Zeph cruiser, grazing the Prometheus's hull with enough force to rock the ship. Warning shot, Raman reported. Minimal damage to outer plating. They deliberately avoided critical systems. Rodriguez's expression remained unchanged, but a cold calculation had already completed in her mind. Tactical. Would you consider that an act of aggression under Confederation protocols? Raman suppressed a smile. Absolutely, Captain. Section 47.3 clearly defines any unprovoked weapons discharge as an aggressive action. Very well, Rodriguez said, rising from her chair. Helm, assume combat stance Delta. Tactical, bring ATHENA online but maintain manual overrides. Deploy countermeasures per first contact protocols. Throughout the bridge, the crew moved with practiced precision, the months of drills evident in their fluid motions. The lights dimmed to combat levels as the Prometheus's systems shifted to battle configuration. On the main screen, the Zeph commander was visibly confused by the human vessel's response. The expected reaction, retreat, or panic diplomacy wasn't materializing. What are you doing, human? The Zeph demanded. Rodriguez's reply was calm, responding proportionally to aggression as is our right under Confederation law. She turned to Raman. Target their weapons systems only. Minimal force. Targeting complete. Execute. What happened next would be replayed on every news feed across the Confederation within hours. The seemingly modest human vessel moved with impossible grace, its maneuvering pattern defying the predictive algorithms of the Zeph targeting systems. The Prometheus's hull shimmered as its hybrid shield system, combining technologies no other species had thought compatible, absorbed energy from the Zeph's panicked counterattack. Then the Prometheus responded not with the expected energy weapons, but with precisely calculated gravitational distortions that disabled the Zeph cruiser's main weapons array without destroying the ship. In the silence that followed, Rodriguez opened the channel again. This has been lauded as a proportional response to aggression, she stated formally. The Prometheus will escort these merchant vessels to Station Nexus. We recommend you undergo repairs before attempting further inspections. She cut the transmission before the stunned Zeph commander could respond and turned to her crew. Well done, she said simply. Now let's show these merchants some human hospitality. As the Prometheus positioned itself protectively beside the civilian ships, hundreds of recording devices captured its image against the starfield, the first glimpse the galaxy had of humanity's true capabilities. The emergency session of the Galactic Council chamber hummed with tension. For once, the Earth delegation wasn't relegated to the distant observer tiers, but seated prominently on the main floor. Admiral Chen stood at the central podium, her uniform crisp despite having been summoned with less than 6 hours' notice. The Zeph Dominion's allegations are baseless, she stated, her voice carrying through the vast chamber. We have submitted complete records of the incident at Station Nexus. The Prometheus responded proportionally to clear aggression, as is our right under Section 47 of the Confederation Charter. Above her, the massive holographic display showed multiple angles of the encounter, captured by merchant vessels and Station Nexus external cameras. The footage clearly showed the Zeph cruiser firing first, followed by the Prometheus's precise, measured response. The Zeph representative, High Commander Xactor, rose from his seat, mandibles clicking furiously. The human vessel concealed its true nature. It was presented to this council as an exploration vessel, not a warship capable of neutralizing an Echo Lake-class cruiser. Nowhere in our filing did we claim the Prometheus lacked defensive capabilities, Chen countered smoothly. The Confederation Charter places no restrictions on a member species' right to self-defense. The Atleri ambassador, Trelvox, interjected with practiced diplomacy. Perhaps our human colleagues have misunderstood Confederation customs. Newly admitted species often struggle with the nuances of our ancient protocols. Chen didn't miss the condescension beneath the polite words. We understood perfectly, Ambassador. We simply chose not to announce our defensive innovations to potential adversaries, a precaution that seems prudent given recent incidents. The implied reference to the sabotage at the Jupiter facility hung in the air. The council moderator, ancient Drelet whose species prided themselves on neutrality, raised a withered hand. The council acknowledges Earth's right to self-defense. However, the introduction of previously unknown military capabilities creates justified concern among member species. A concern we share, Chen responded, which is why Captain Rodriguez exercised remarkable restraint in disabling rather than destroying the aggressor vessel. As the debate continued on the council floor, Ambassador Nix Alla of the Vrex Confederation, a coalition of mid-tier species who had long chafed under the dominance of the superpowers, approached Earth's junior diplomat in the antechamber. Your ship, Nix Alla said in a low voice, multifaceted eyes darting to ensure they weren't overheard. Its defensive systems, are they adaptable to different vessel classes? The junior diplomat maintained a neutral expression. I'm not authorized to discuss technical specifications, Ambassador. Of course, Nix Alla passed over a data crystal with a casual gesture. But should your government be interested in discussing mutual defense arrangements, the Vrex Confederation would be receptive. Similar conversations occurred in shadowed corners throughout the council complex as representatives from species long dominated by the Atleri and Zeph sought out Earth diplomats with cautious inquiries. Meanwhile, aboard the Prometheus, Captain Rodriguez reviewed the latest battle simulations as the ship maintained orbit around Rigel Vlaii, a system previously considered too dangerous for human vessels due to territorial disputes between minor powers. AKENA, run the Gemini protocol again, she ordered. Increase aggressor numbers by 30%. The ship's eye responded in its calm, measured voice. Simulation parameters adjusted, beginning run 47B. On the tactical display, holographic representations of hostile vessels swarmed the Prometheus. Athena's combat system processed countless variables, learning with each iteration. What the simulation couldn't show, what Rodriguez carefully kept from the official logs, was how the AI's neural architecture was evolving with each test, developing novel solutions that even its creators hadn't anticipated. Lieutenant Raman entered the tactical center, his expression grave. Captain, long-range sensors have detected 3 Atleri vessels changing course to intercept us. Estimated arrival, 18 hours. Rodriguez studied the trajectory data. Not a coincidence. They're testing us. They outmass us significantly, Raman noted. Confederation records indicate they're Sovereign-class battlecruisers. Rodriguez's lips curved in a slight smile. Inform Admiral Chen, then set course for the Protean asteroid belt. The asteroid belt? Raman questioned. That's hazardous navigation territory. Exactly, Rodriguez replied. Let's see how their targeting systems handle unpredictable gravitational fields. And Lieutenant, she added as Raman turned to leave, make sure ATHENA records everything. The next simulation needs to be perfect. As the Prometheus altered course, subspace channels across the sector buzzed with speculation. The human vessel wasn't retreating to Earth as expected. It was moving to ground of its own choosing. The message was clear to any military strategist. This wasn't a prey species fleeing predators. It was a predator setting an ambush. Red dwarf light bathed the Prometheus in crimson as it weaved through the asteroid belt. Captain Rodriguez stood at the tactical station, eyes focused on the approaching artillery vessels. 3 Sovereign-class battlecruisers, their elegant elongated hulls gleaming with a pearlescent sheen that belied their deadly purpose. "They're deploying in trireme formation," Commander Garcia noted. "Classic artillery encirclement strategy." Rodriguez nodded. "As expected. Status of ATNA?" "Combat protocols active," Captain Lieutenant Raman reported. "Pattern recognition at 94% efficiency. She's already mapped the gravitational eddies throughout the belt." "And Chimera?" Chief Engineer Okonkwo's voice came through the comm. "Hot and ready, Captain. But I must remind you, we've never field-tested the system. Simulations show a 22% chance of feedback destabilization." "Noted, Chief." Rodriguez switched to the general channel. "All hands, battle stations. This is not a drill." Throughout the ship, crew members moved with practiced efficiency, securing stations and activating combat systems. Unlike the vessels of elder species, the Prometheus relied heavily on human operators working in concert with its AI. It wasn't the most efficient approach by Confederation standards, but it provided adaptability that fully automated systems couldn't match. The main view screen shifted to show Supreme Wing General Zax Tortle, the artillery commander. His elongated features arranged themselves in what passed for a diplomatic expression among his kind. "Captain Rodriguez, this is Supreme Wing General Zax Tortle of the Artillery Empire. We have been authorized to escort your vessel back to Earth space for security consultations." Rodriguez met his four-eyed gaze without flinching. "That's very considerate, General, but we're in the middle of a scheduled patrol. If Earth Central Command requested an escort, they would have informed me directly." "This is not a request, Captain." Zax Tortle's artificial politeness slipped. "Recent events have raised concerns about your vessel's capabilities. For the stability of the Confederation, we must insist." "I understand your concerns," General Rodriguez replied. "To demonstrate our commitment to transparency, I'm transmitting our patrol route now. You're welcome to observe from a distance, but we will continue our mission." She cut the transmission before he could respond and turned to her crew. "They'll attack within 3 minutes." The diplomatic exchange was for the record only. "Why 3 minutes?" asked a young ensign at the auxiliary station. "Because," Rodriguez explained, "that's how long it will take their tactical eye to calculate optimal firing solutions given our position in the asteroid field. The artillery never deviate from tactical doctrine once established." Right on schedule, the artillery vessels moved into attack positions, their weapon ports glowing with charge energy. "Incoming transmission," communications announced. On screen, Rodriguez ordered. Zax Tortle appeared again, his expression now hardened into military formality. "Captain Rodriguez, I offer you honorable surrender. The Empire recognizes your crew's skill and innovation. You will be treated with respect, and we propose technological exchange that will benefit both our species." Rodriguez studied him for a moment. Despite everything, she recognized a professional military officer doing his duty. "That's a generous offer, General. However, I must decline." She nodded to Raman, who entered a complex series of commands into his console. "Chimera activated," he confirmed. "General," Rodriguez addressed the artillery commander, "I suggest you reconsider your position. The Prometheus was not built to surrender." The artillery ships opened fire simultaneously, energy beams converging on the human vessel from 3 directions. For a moment, it seemed the Prometheus would be vaporized under the combined assault. Instead, something unprecedented happened. The space around the Prometheus distorted visibly, the weapon's fire bending and fragmenting as it encountered localized space-time anomalies. The Chimera system, coordinated hybrid interphase manipulation and energy redirection array, had come online. "Direct hit to starboard shields," Raman reported, his voice steady despite the ship shuddering around them. "Holding at 68%. Athena is mapping their firing patterns." Rodriguez moved to the center of the bridge. "Helm, execute maneuver Theta. Tactical, target their primary sensor arrays only." The Prometheus surged forward, its movement patterns derived not from space combat doctrine, but from the hunting behaviors of Earth predators. Unpredictable, seemingly erratic, yet precisely calculated by ADGNA to exploit gaps in the artillery formation. "They're recalculating," Garcia observed. "Their targeting efficiency is dropping." Rodriguez allowed herself a grim smile. "Now, Mr. Raman, show them what we've learned." The Prometheus fired, not with conventional weapons, but with precisely calibrated gravitational pulses that interacted with the asteroid field itself, creating cascading debris that overwhelmed the first artillery vessel's shields while simultaneously disrupting its sensor grid. On the tactical display, the elegant artillery formation began to fragment as they struggled to adapt to a combat paradigm unlike anything in their 12,000-year history. "Athena," Rodriguez addressed the ship's AI directly. "Initiate Daedalus protocol." Daedalus protocol activated, the AI responded, calculating optimal engagement vectors. As the battle escalated around them, Rodriguez felt a moment of perfect clarity. This wasn't just a fight for survival or territory. It was humanity announcing its place in the galaxy. The observation deck of the HMS Prometheus offered an unparalleled view of Earth as the ship maintained high orbit. Admiral Chen stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching the blue-green planet slowly rotate beneath them. The 6 months since the Red Dwarf incident had transformed humanity's position in the galaxy. The door slid open behind her. Quite a view came the distinctive dual-toned voice of Wing General Zax Toril. Chen didn't turn. First time seeing Earth in person, General? Indeed. The Atleri officer moved to stand beside her, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence as he took in the planet. I expected something more imposing. The Kriegsschiff of such a formidable species. We're not formidable because of our planet, Chen replied. We're formidable because we had to fight for every step of our evolution. Earth wasn't gentle with us. The recent council session had concluded with the ratification of the Mutual Defense Accord, a document that fundamentally restructured power dynamics across the Confederation. Chen had spent weeks in negotiation, leveraging humanity's newfound reputation while carefully avoiding the appearance of aggression. The Sovereign Council is still processing your technological approach, Zax Toril admitted. 12,000 years of military doctrine and humans simply ignored it. Not ignored, Chen corrected. We studied it, understood its assumptions, then approached the problem differently. Her comm unit chimed with a priority signal. Admiral, the Prometheus's sister ships have successfully completed their shakedown cruises. The Hyperion, Helios, and Athena are ready for deployment. Acknowledged. She turned to Zax Toril. Your exchange officers have been briefed. Yet Larry nodded, mandibles clicking softly. They are honored by the opportunity, though some still struggle with your command structure. The concept of battlefield improvisation is alien to us. They'll adapt, Chen said with confidence, just as we all must. In the council chambers on Alpha Centauri, Earth's new diplomatic weight was already reshaping policies that had remained static for centuries. The disputed system that had triggered the crisis now hosted a joint research installation with representatives from 12 species, including both humans and Atleri. The Zeth Dominion, while publicly maintaining their superior posture, had quietly scaled back territorial provocations. Smaller species who had previously existed in the shadow of the superpowers now looked to Earth not as saviors, but as proof that innovation could overcome entrenchment. The Vrex Confederation had already begun implementing modified versions of human defensive systems, with Earth's blessing and technical support. I've reviewed the reports from the Galactic Rim, Zax Toril said, breaking the silence. If the anomalies are what we fear, then the Confederation will need more than battle cruisers and energy weapons, Chen finished. It will need new thinking. The observation deck door opened again, admitting Captain Rodriguez and a small delegation of officers from various species, the newly formed Rapid Response Task Force, drawing expertise from across the Confederation. Admiral, Rodriguez saluted. The task force is assembled and ready for your address. Chen nodded and turned to face the gathered officers. Humans stood alongside Atleri, Zeth, Vrex, and others, species that mere months ago had been adversaries. Ladies, gentlemen, and honored representatives, she began. The signals we detected beyond the rim represent an unknown factor. They may be benign, or they may be the greatest threat the Confederation has ever faced. What I can tell you with certainty is this. No single approach, no matter how refined over millennia, will be sufficient. She gestured to the diverse group before her. Each of your species brings unique perspectives and strengths. The Atleri's strategic patience, the Zeth's technological precision, the Vrex's adaptability, Earth's unconventional thinking. Together, we will face this challenge not as competing powers, but as a unified force drawing strength from our differences. As the briefing continued, Zax Toril moved to stand beside Rodriguez at the viewport. Beyond Earth, the stars seemed suddenly more ominous, the darkness between them deeper. Such a small world, yet Larry commented quietly. Rodriguez smiled slightly. Not small, General. Concentrated. You humans have a saying, Zax Toril said. The best steel is forged in the hottest fires. I'm beginning to understand it. On the tactical display, the unknown signals from beyond the rim multiplied, their pattern becoming clearer with each passing hour. Whatever was coming, it would face not just the technological might of the elder species, but the unpredictable, unbending will of humanity. A species that had never learned when to quit, even when the mathematics said they should. Athena, Rodriguez addressed the ship's AI, begin analysis of these new patterns. Let's give our visitors a proper welcome. Analysis initiated, Captain, the AI responded. Preliminary results suggest organized approach vectors consistent with strategic intelligence. Rodriguez nodded, unsurprised. The galaxy had just found its balance. It seemed the universe had decided to test it immediately.